So task management, number one, make sure, don't keep it in your head, get it into a tool. Number two, create blocks of window of your time where you do important things, not urgent things. And rule number three, don't keep putting things off. Make sure that task is being done by the deadlines and free. I was 27 years old. I owed $1.7 million.
Oh, that's huge.
My parents had mortgaged their home. My best friend, he had given me every penny to his name.
I was very excited when I got to know that Anik is coming here in India, and today I'm with him, and I have a few questions to ask with Mr. Anik. So let's start. How you started your journey in the digital industry?
I started over 20 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
So I was studying to become a doctor.
Uh-huh.
That I lasted like 2 weeks.
Okay.
I wanted to quit that. So I switched universities and I wanted to study business because I felt since I was a child, I had this entrepreneurial, I want to do something of my own. And I switched universities. I let go of a big, full scholarship, all this stuff. I switched and I don't like that either. Now I'm confused what I'm going to do because I'm not enjoying business or medical or anything. So I turned to Google, which back then Google was new. I think Google was like 1 year old at that time.
Yeah.
And I typed in how to make money. Because I think what I realized was I was just bored of learning. I wanted to do. And so Google does an auto suggestion, when you type in, it drops down. And so they had that back then too. And so they dropped down and said, how to make money online. I thought, okay. So I clicked that. And that's how the journey began. It took me 18 months of failing, struggling. I saw all the nonsense. But now back then, we didn't have the kind of training, the kind of resources. YouTube didn't even exist.
Yeah.
So we didn't have all the things that people have today. And so I tried one thing or the other, 18 months of that. And then finally something clicked with affiliate marketing. And I got it to click and it worked. And then I began to scale from there. And once my eyes were open to that, then I tried the next thing, and it just took off.
Okay, what was the first thing you started in affiliate marketing?
So there was a software that was being sold. It was Black Hat. Okay, so basically it spammed the search engines because Google was new, so everyone was abusing it. And I got very good at using it. I bought a copy and I learned how to use it. And so people started asking me questions, and I would help them. So then I put up, I don't know, one day I was just like, hey, I'm giving so much free help. Why am I doing this? So I said, if you buy the software through my affiliate link, I think the software was like $150 and I made like $75. I think I remember. I said, if you buy the software through my link, I will offer you free support. Because like the guy who created the software was there also, but like I would also offer support. And I made that offer one night. I went to bed and I posted it in the forum. Next morning, I woke up, I'd made over $300 in commissions. So I was like, oh, this affiliate thing is finally my big breakthrough. So I scaled that. And then from there, I launched a consulting service. And then I launched a course. And just kind of that was where it started.
Okay. So you left your medical journey. Yeah. So why you left that? What was your thoughts at that time? Like, is it a good decision or not?
Yeah. So, in America, right? Most doctors, like some 30-40% of doctors are Indian. In my family, I grew up watching one of my cousins who I really respected, and everyone in the family like respected him, and he was living the life I felt I wanted. And I looked around other people too. I looked at family, friends, and who's the ones living in the biggest houses, driving the nicest cars? They were doctors. So as a kid, I made a very simple decision, which is not how you should make a life decision, which was doctors are successful, they have nice things, I'll be a doctor. And in the end, obviously that, once I got to school, I started taking the classes. I was like, this is not for me. I don't enjoy this. I have nothing against doctors. I love my sister's a doctor. I love doctors. My doctors have saved my life many times. But it just wasn't for me. And so the decision was a very difficult one. And it actually took a friend of mine. So I took a long time to make the decision because I was scared of telling my parents. I didn't want to disappoint them. And I was in a really set situation. I was on a full scholarship. I was on a one-way ticket to probably going to medical school at Harvard or Stanford or something. Like I was in a very, very good program. to throw all that away because dil nahi kar raha. Like it just felt like, "Hey, how do I explain this to my parents, you know?" And so I remember I'm sitting in the library studying with a friend. This is a year and a half. Okay, so although 2 weeks into my first year of college, I decided I don't want to do this. I still was a year and a half. I was still doing it. They're too scared to say. And I'm sitting in the library and I'm studying, and something is happening. And my friend, she's studying with me. I don't know what I said or I sighed or something I did. She got very she slammed my book shut. She picked my books up, threw them in my backpack. I'm looking at what she's doing. She's like, "Go home right now." My house was like, I lived on campus, but it was like an hour away from home. She's like, "Go home right now. Message your parents right now. Go home right now. Enough. Enough is enough." She started yelling at me. I was like, she's like, "You're miserable. I can't stand it anymore. This isn't the life for you." And she actually has gone on to become a doctor. She got a PhD and she's a doctor. But she could tell it wasn't for me. And so that actually was, I am very grateful to her because she sparked it. I called my parents. I said, "I want to come home, speak to you." Went home, super scared. They were amazing. I told them, and my dad looked at me and he said, "Remember, this is your life. You have to live it. This is not our life." And my dad said, he said, "I don't agree with your decision, but I support your decision. So you can do it, no problem." And for him, it was a big deal because I was going to let go of a full scholarship and switch to another university where he has to spend money now for me to, do this because dil nahi kar raha, like so. It was, my parents are amazing. I'm very blessed and very grateful because they supported it, and that was how the decision got made.
Okay, so you were in India at that time or in the United States?
No, I was in the US. I was born in the US.
Uh-huh.
I moved to India when I was maybe 5-6 years old. I was in India for 2 years.
Okay.
We were living in Moga, Punjab, which is, a little bit past Ambala,
Okay,
Ludhiana.
I'm from the same.
Oh, okay, great. So I was, in those days, there was a lot of issues happening with the Sikhs, Hindus, riots and all. And some bad groups who don't represent either were taking advantage and kidnapping children and asking for ransom.
Yeah.
So I was there, and my dad worked for the Nestle factory, so he had a very high job with Nestle, and we lived in a beautiful, beautiful Swiss compound, protected with high walls, beautiful homes, swimming pool, badminton court, tennis court, all these things. And when all of this started, the Nestle factory assigned even us, each kid had our own security guard when we went to school because they were kidnapping people. So I loved it. I have a GI Joe that comes to school with me every day, but my parents didn't appreciate it. So I was only here for 2 years. We had moved back because my grandmother was ill. My father wanted to be with his mother. She since at that point had passed. So my dad decided to take us back to the US. So then I went back to the US by the time I was in third standard.
Okay.
And I've been there my whole life.
So please share your $330 to 10 million journey.
It's like a roller coaster, right? Starting with my first $300, and then I've taken the company to last year. One of my businesses did $32 million, which is like in total some 250 crores or something. And I have built multiple companies. I've sold out of some companies. I have failed in many companies that have gone bankrupt, or not bankrupt, but
failure is a process to success.
It's 100%. People are so scared of making mistakes and of failing. I am so excited to make mistakes and fail.
Because whenever we fail, we got to know the mistakes we made, and we will not make it in the future.
I have a rule in my company: make as many mistakes as you want, as long as it's the first time you made that mistake. Don't ever make the same mistake twice. That is when you have problems. But if you make new mistakes, make as many new mistakes as you want. No issue. Don't make the same mistake twice.
Okay.
Yeah. So the growth was, it's such a journey, man. We'd have to go year by year, but in my journey, I almost went bankrupt a few times. In the journey, I've learned how to be a leader. I've learned how to build a team. I've learned how to build products. I've learned how, all these things I've had to learn, right? And each time you learn it, I didn't have anyone really to teach me necessarily. I mean, I had mentors, but you still have to go through the fire. So it's been 20 years of a lot of lessons, a lot of challenges, but I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. It's been the best journey.
Okay. We have a fear in bankruptcy, like you said, you have a bankrupt multiple times.
Mhm.
So, how you manage such kind of things, and what is the psychology behind this? Like, how do you manage the things?
So I didn't actually go bankrupt. I never filed it, but the
Uh-huh.
company would be broke. I owed a lot of money. I was near bankruptcy. Uh, how you manage it is you just manage it. I mean, you just go through it. So for
But
me,
still, we have fear in our mind, like we're gonna be this. So,
yeah. So for me, I make a plan. So I owed my first time it happened. I was 27 years old. I owed $1.7 million.
oh, that's huge.
My parents had mortgaged their home. My best friend at that time, and still till this day, he's now my little brother. He's in this
Mm-hmm.
market. He teaches e-commerce. He had given me every penny to his name. Every penny he had given to me, lent to me. I owed money to everybody who knew me, and it
Mm-hmm.
was one of the most stressful times I've ever had in my life. But I never officially declared bankruptcy, so I never said I'm not going to pay you. One thing I did is I was very good at always communicating with everybody. If I've ever owed anyone money, which I've owed money to people
Yeah.
many times, I always communicate. Don't disappear. Even if I have bad news, I can't give you the. I said I would give money today. I can't. I just speak about it. I talk about it. I give them the why. But if you communicate, I find most problems can be solved with good communication.
Yeah.
And I've always prided myself on communicating well. So I will always tell people why. I will always be respectful to them. And I just don't quit. So I make a plan. I figure out who I have to pay, who I have to pay. So I bucket things. So instead of me thinking I'm 1.7 million in debt, I created buckets and I prioritize which bucket is most important. Which one do I have to pay, but otherwise I get in trouble? Which one do I? And then I focused on that amount to pay that off first, and that has helped me many times. I've had to do this a couple of times in my life now, where not all debt is equal
Mm-hmm.
when you're bankrupt. Not all debt is equal. Some has to be paid faster than others. But the ones who you ask to wait, that's not fair to them. So I communicate with them. I tell them why I'm asking them to wait and why it is that I have to pay somebody else first before them. And I find if you communicate, people 9 times out of 10 are very reasonable. Most people, if you communicate and you're honest and genuine, 9 times out of 10 people will give you the benefit of doubt, and they'll say, "Okay, no problem." So I don't have a fear for it. I don't like it. It's not fun. But also how many companies I've had that have had to shut down. We didn't owe anyone money, but we just decided to shut it down. It wasn't working. And I'm sure I'm 40. I'm 100% sure I will have more ventures in the future that will have issues, that will have challenges. I'm sure I will. I don't think I'm ever going to be bankrupt anymore because it's been. I've been good with my money now, but companies might go out of business. So it's okay. We live, we learn, we do it again.
Because we can learn, like
Yes.
without failures.
Yeah.
So, what is the biggest mistake you have ever made in your life?
Ah.
I
Good
know
question. Oh,
it's many.
yeah, it's very hard to say the biggest, right? Because they're all like I joke, like I
But
make
still,
mistakes.
you do remember that thing that this was the
Team
biggest
members hiring the wrong person, trusting the wrong person. That's the better word. Trusting the wrong person.
Was it a making a partnership or something like hiring?
This was not a partnership. This was actually hiring someone, giving them the full responsibility over, an entire division, and trusting without reason to trust. Trust should be earned.
Mhm.
What I've
Exactly.
learned in 20 years of business is I don't trust anybody until they earn it, right? And that sounds cryptic. It sounds sad. It's
Uh-huh.
not meant to. I also, there's a cultural difference, right? So that was happening when I was building a company in India,
Mm.
and it doesn't happen like that in the US as much.
Yeah.
India has a different culture. You have to be a little bit extra careful. And I just wasn't. I trusted very openly. And that was a big eye opening. So it was a biggest mistake I've made, but it was also the biggest lesson I've learned. So I'm so grateful for it because it taught me so much. I've made other big mistakes in the sense of mostly I would tell you around hiring, bringing the wrong people. Now I have an amazing team of amazing leaders, and I'm assigning each of them divisions and companies. And so soon my goal is, look, I can run 50 companies if I want. I just don't want to be, shouldn't be the CEO of any of them, right? I can guide them, help them, advise them. So I'm thinking for me more as a portfolio moving forward,
Uh-huh.
rather than being the CEO. I have operated now for 20 years,
Okay.
and I've been CEO for 20 years. I'll tell you one thing: it's the worst job in the world. I know many people aspire to be CEO. I do not anymore. It's hard. It's a hard job. It's super hard. I want to be an investor now, and I think I earned that. I paid my dues, and so I I will have multiple companies. But if you are just starting, or if you are in your journey and you have not yet made the crores and millions of dollars, don't have seven companies.
Okay. I would like to learn from your mistake. Like, what was the mistake? What you learned from this, like, while hiring or while trusting, what we should see in that person?
Okay. So first thing I tell you, in hiring now, big lesson I've learned that I'm very, very avid about. See, when we're hiring people, well, I need a video editor. I put up a post on Facebook, video editor needed. Or worse, you have a मेरी भाभी का nephew. वो बेचारा घर बैठा है, अकेला बैठा है, उसको nothing to do, 19 years old, but बहुत जो ambitious है. उसको बहुत आता है, सिखाओगे तो वो सीखेगा, करेगा. अबे, this is such a headache. So I don't hire for potential. I hire for experience. So if I'm looking for a video editor and you want to edit my videos, show me the years and years of video editing experience. Show me your videos. If you already know how to do it, come work for me. If you don't know how to do it and you're looking for a place to learn, please go somewhere else. Now, also, in my company, now that we have layers, I have juniors. They don't report to me, though. They report to my team. I leave my managers. That's their decision. If they want to hire a junior that they want to train, that's their decision. But I don't want anyone reporting to me. Trust, there's no hack. There's no secret. There's no nothing. Trust takes time. What I look for, if I'm going to get trust with somebody, I'm looking for somebody who's going to go above and beyond. I'm looking for somebody who I don't have to ask. They just do. I'm looking for somebody who tries to genuinely help me. I look for the heart. But you can't detect that in a week or 2 weeks. You have to spend months with someone. So for me, when you first start working for me, okay, I'm watching what's going on, but over time I see how you behave, and that's how trust is earned.
Okay. So, what is important for you? Trust versus experience here.
Oh, good question. Trust has to be most important. Because even if you have a lot of experience and I don't trust you, then no point. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you may feel this, like, if you hired someone, they might not understanding you. If even they are having the experience, so what you do at that time?
You have to see, one thing is a lot of entrepreneurs, we don't know how to explain things because our brain now is rapid firing. So we see the vision, but how do we explain, and other people don't see it. So as a entrepreneur, I've learned one thing.
Uh-huh.
I have to explain very thoroughly. But the biggest thing that needs to be explained.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I explain. What is the outcome I want? And why do I want this? A lot of entrepreneurs start by explaining how to do something. I don't do that. Because how I do something may not be how they do something. And why do I care? If I want to go from one location to another, I'm going from, north side of Delhi to south side.
Uh-huh.
I have 1 hour to get there. I don't care if you take a left, right, front, back. What do you do? What you need to do? Just get me there by this time. I have an appointment by this time. Get me there by this time. If I'm going to also tell the driver, no, speed up, slow down, take a left, take a right, then I might as well drive. What's the point? So same thing in your business, same thing in your work. I like to explain first, what is the outcome I'm looking for? Second, why am I looking for the outcome? And then third, I explain how I would approach it. And then I say, any questions? And that approach has worked brilliantly. It has really, people need the freedom. Most people get lost in the how because we try to tell people how to do the job. And that might not be how they would do it. And they get confused, they get lost, and then they don't give you what you want. I give people freedom to do it how they want, but I focus on the outcome.